lot of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, APCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Folks, special guest in studio. JD is here. He was the man that bid the most on the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame event that we gave away. And folks, I'm here to tell you, you would think that both of these guys over here have just went through 4 quarters of football, because all they're doing is griping how sore they are after bowling 3 games.
Well, it was 4.
Well, for you, but JD, it was 3.
I went out on IR.
I cannot scroll on my phone anymore because my thumb is so bruised, and my shoulder is a deep ache. And then I stayed at the house last night because we went bowling after fishing, which we'll get into the fishing.
Yeah.
Carolyn legitimately, and I think I might have mentioned this last time, Mark, 13 pillows on the bed.
Actually, it's 14.
I went to bed at roughly 11:15. I did not get in bed till 11:30. I was removing pillows for a solid 15 minutes.
Well, the big question is did you make the bed?
Yes, absolutely.
And did you put all the pillows back
exactly as they were? JD, on the other hand, can you bend the finger yet?
Oh, yeah. It's just, I think I might have dislocated it.
He heard some sort of popping noise midway through game 2 last night.
Yeah, but I powered through. I ended up doing the 2-finger bowling thing.
But very nice. And then the thigh gave out towards the end of game 2.
I had to adjust because of my injury on my hand. So,
guys.
That's why I told my wife, I was like, oh my gosh, we go fishing all day. We're cruising across the lake at 70 miles an hour in the chop. And it's like, oh, that's fine. Hooks flying everywhere. No injuries. Then we go bowling.
Well, the hooks are flying everywhere because that's just, my boat was... Anyway, we got everything fixed. So I got your prop on. Thing has an amazing hole shot now with the 25 pitch.
Yeah.
So I should have been doing what Frank Scalish said is, hey, change your props and check it out. But I will say this. So, you know, part of the deal was we went bowling last night. Bowling, pizza, and beer. So we had the pizza, we had the beer, we weren't bowling, and everything was great. Jeffries is pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just going to say it like I know he practices. I know he's always playing with his balls over there behind the screen.
Yeah.
That's not actually how I meant that. What I meant...
Okay.
He's got his drill press and all of his bowling balls, and he's videoing himself, and he's taking it serious. He's making the senior tour. And it was really kind of the first time that I had seen him in action. And I had one game where I kind of hung a little bit, and Jeffries got serious. He broke out the sandpaper.
No,
he broke out the towel. He was drying his hand over the vent.
He
was doing the fist pump. He put the sunglasses on.
I did not.
He had he had the spare ball. What was the spare ball? The gray one.
The blue dot.
He had a blue dot.
Yeah.
What else did he have then?
Well, yeah, he started out with that one ball, and the lanes were what? Trash or whatever you call it?
Scorched.
Burn up.
Scorched. They
Burnt up.
Yeah.
So then he had to pull out his other ball, and you could actually see he started getting a groove there.
Yeah.
Jeffries is good, though. It's very impressive for a, 57?
58 on Sunday, man.
58 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Congrats. You'd think you'd learn how to shave by then.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm all over the place.
Jeffrey's very impressive with the bowling. Honestly, it's crazy. When the ball hits those pids, they just go boosh.
Shatter.
Hey, it is what it is. I've been doing it a long time. So, fun time. And I want to thank Brad, the manager, the general manager at Sooner Bowl here in Norman.
Did you have to pay for that, or did he?
No.
You seriously got comped at the bowling alley? That is the biggest Mark Jeffries move of all time.
I get comped all the time.
Okay, because you're in there a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. They take care of me in there, and Brad, a great general manager, and he's helped me out a ton. So big thanks. Now I had to pay for the drinks and the food. I mean, they're not going overboard
Good
here.
pizza though.
It was
that's
good
not
pizza.
bad, yeah.
So that was the bowling adventure. Part of the other deal, the main part of the deal, was spending a day on the water with Matt. And we opened yesterday's show with you guys on the water. And I guess the first hour was just furious.
Explain it,
First
JD.
2 hours. Oh, it was phenomenal. We get there, I got some pictures, and there's a little smoke on the water type of thing because it was like 34 degrees, I think, when we got there. I was like, yeah, but I'm from Illinois, so I'm used to the cold. So we got out there, and he's like, well, we're just gonna idle across, and we'll try this pocket here first. And what's the name of the creek there?
Chicken Creek.
Chicken Creek.
It's not a secret.
It's not giving up any juice there, is it?
No,
So, okay.
no.
But yeah, and we just went across the bank, and I'm throwing that little skitter pop, and second or third cast, like, boo, hey, they're starting to blow up. And then we caught a couple more, and you lost that smallmouth.
Yeah.
There's a nice one, too. Big black dark thing just rolled up and came off.
All right, here, I got a pick I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
It's a couple of
Those
lake
are kayak
killers.
fish right there.
But this is the crazy part. We get to the back and the water's like 5 foot high.
Yeah.
And they're blowing up in the bush. Like in every single bush had a largemouth in it that was eating shad that was at the surface, but they were inside it. You couldn't even get a bait there.
No, there's
JD's
no
like
way.
on the front deck, chucking his pop-bar, his skitter pop. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like little, but it was like big. I mean, there had to be some giants back in there eating that shad.
Yeah.
Because they were so far back in there. And I was like looking back, going, man, if I had my kayak, I'd be way back in there.
Now, how far up was it, Matt? Probably
4.5, 5 foot. But they were bass. They were not like carp rolling because every time he got his skitter pop next to a bush, boosh.
Yeah.
And the bigger one that we kept for the pictures, that one. I mean, you were in the back of the boat and you heard that. I was like, oh my god, that was awesome. There's nothing better than topwater, man.
No,
So
don't
what do
have
you
to
think
tell
is
me
that?
Exactly.
I mean, he came from Illinois, Oklahoma Lake. I think Tenco is a pretty cool lake in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I don't pay much attention to it, but I've heard people say, "Oh, it's not that great a lake or whatever," and you're like, "No, it's awesome," and it was. It was a blast. We caught 30 bass probably, and then another 35 or 40 white bass. And I'm used to Illinois white bass. We're like these little tiny things, and
Not those.
we catch it. How big were they? Maybe
Pound and a half,
pound
2
and a half.
pounds.
He's like, "Oh, these are little ones." I'm going, "Okay," but it was on fire back there.
Yeah.
and they were back in the bushes, and that's where we needed to go. That's when we started catching more largies. And
Yeah. All right. Give the fans a little bit of background on yourself, JD.
oh, well, grew up in Illinois. Caught my first big bass when I was like 8 years old on my little Zebco, has no drag. So I'm dragging this thing off. I got a little story on my website about that whole deal, but when you're a kid, you just want to throw a little spinner bait and have fun doing that. But,
Yeah.
fished with my stepdad, all the way up until about high school, and then got interested in other things, and then joined the military, went off, did a bunch of stuff, got married, had kids, and really didn't spend much time fishing. I still did a little bit, throughout the military. There's some MWR places where they take you on these little fishing trips, and I always looked at those. And then got back, had a career in the hobby industry, product development and marketing, stuff like that. And after 15 years at Horizon Hobby, which was a blast, I enjoyed my time there. Had met a lot of great people and did a lot of cool things. And they, like all businesses, sometimes they have to cut back, and so they were cutting salary. And I actually made it almost to the last the last cut. And then sitting there, and I was kayak fishing at the time for about 2 or 3 years before that. And then it's like, man, I need to do something. So I'm gonna open up a tackle shop, which wasn't probably going to be a big money maker. But then I was into the kayaks and got in with Jackson Kayak because I looked around and said, hey, what does it take to become a dealer? And they're like, well, there's nobody in your area, so you become a kayak dealer. So I did that, and it just took off from there. And I've been doing it just over 4 years. September was 4 years. And tiny little town in central Illinois, 30 miles from where this guy grew
Yeah,
up.
how crazy is that?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, just been going strong ever since then, just enjoying it.
And if you remember the Jackson Kayak, remember Eric Jackson on Lake Champlain in the FLW. It was the FLW tour then, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years ago, the one that Casey Scanlon won. Remember, he wears the jumpsuit and he's
Yeah.
got the hat
Yeah.
and he does the kayaks. Now you have, what, 3 or 4 brands that you represent now?
Currently, Jackson, New Canoe, and Bonafide, which came out a couple years ago, and they've just been going gangbusters with that. I mean, the Fluke Master is with them. Chad Hoover's with them. And then they got bought out by Big Adventures, which is owns like a bunch of other different brands. So now I'm adding Native Watercraft. So I'll have 4 brands going into next season.
And he said they're selling like hotcakes this past
This
year.
year's been crazy.
He spent most of
I
his
bet.
time driving kayaks all around.
Yeah. Yep. We were locked down. But
Yeah.
I was open by appointment, and I also made curbside deliveries. So
And one of the newest big bite dealers, you said?
yeah, I just
How about
actually
that?
signed on with Big Bite.
Cool.
I don't know who your regional rep or guy is. We got to make sure we get some BFEs in that store.
Yeah.
Oh, they're on order.
Nice. There's Pack right there.
All right, cool. The big question is, though, was it worth the money spending an entire day on the water with Matthew?
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Well, I'm sitting right here. What's he going to say? He's going to say, I wish it.
He could say no, man. It was
No, it was-
horrible.
I needed a trip bad. I needed a fishing trip
Okay.
bad. So
I will admit that first hour was probably one of the cool. You said you had the smoke rising off the water, the fish busting. Weren't really sure what we were.
probably couldn't
getting
run
into.
anywhere anyway. I mean, with the
Yeah,
fog.
no, it was cool. It was one of those moments.
Yeah.
And then finally, the fog.
Well, what
finally
happened
broke.
was you called right in the middle of the
flurry.
chaos. So I'm sitting there trying to catch him, but JD's trying to catch him. I'm making sure we got a signal. And I'm like, all right, well, let's do this interview so we can get back to fish catching.
Well, the best one was when he checked in earlier, and he was like, "Are you guys on him?" I was like, "Oh yeah, JD's on him." And then I pitched up in there like this little creek or this little opening where all the bushes were, and Matt's like, "Oh, watch this. There's gonna be one there's like twitch, boosh." That was awesome.
Called the shot.
Yeah,
You
I
did that
think
a few times.
I think on my birthday on Sunday, that's what I'm going to do.
You're going to
I
go
think
to 10 Killer?
I'm just going to go.
All
to
right,
10
so what's the name of the shop again?
Yeah.
Jaydiz Fishing, Jaydiz Fishing.
In Monticello.
Yeah.
Can you order kayaks online from you?
No, I will deliver within like 100 miles of Central Illinois, like in Monticello. I've delivered to Indiana, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin. So
Yeah.
if you hit me up, we can probably get.
Is that a college town? Is there a college there in Monticello?
Well, I guess not in Monticello, but we're 20 miles from Champaign.
Okay.
There used to be a school there called the University of Illinois. They
Not anymore.
I'm talking sports wise. It's
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
it's.
Hey, I grew up going to the Illini games.
Oh, I did too. I used to love it and do that.
It was
stuff,
big
but-
time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It still is, but
Yeah.
one of the jokes is like, oh, with these restrictions, they're limiting the capacity like 25%. It's like, well, Illinois is probably still good.
Yeah, they still have to give away tickets.
Wow.
So wait, in addition to kayak store tackle shop owner, I did not know this until I walked in today, and he had the Richardson 112
Yeah.
That's the hat.
JDiz fishing
That's your
hat.
favorite
That is
hat.
The favorite hat. Mine either go up there or I'll probably just wear that one. He had some magic mystery meat rub. So I didn't even know anything about this till you come in, but you make this stuff too?
Yeah, I've been dabbling in barbecuing for a lot of years, and it's hard to find a rub that you like because there's like a bazillion different ones out there. So I started making my own, and my friends were like, "Oh, dude, you need to sell that stuff. You need to sell that stuff." And of course, then we had this lockdown stuff. I'm like, "Hey, I got nothing else to do. Let me go and take care of all the business things that you got to take care of."
You guys have a fairly... Oh, that sounds like Morocco. That's the sweet and
One
savory
spicy
and
and
the
one-
sweet and spicy.
I do
That's
have
the
a
magic.
Texas
So
beef
that's
rub.
jdmurrays.com.
Yes.
JDMURYS.com. I will...
And I'm JD, and my wife's name's Mary, but we got with the Murray thing because one of the little kids she used to babysit could never say Mary,
Oh, okay.
so she always say Murray.
Do you do the smoker thing? Like, do you do the Traeger?
Oh, yeah.
gr-
I don't do Traegers. I have
What
a
do you do?
Yoder. I have a Yoder smoker.
Is that is that better than a Traeger?
I think so.
Lucas is going to call in and he's going to be pissed in about 5 minutes on the
No, they're
Sunlight
both-
hotline.
It's not it was like my birthday present to myself.
Really?
year. Yeah.
So can you do like full racks of ribs and
Oh yeah, it's
briskets and
Yep, the Yoder 640S. Dude, it's got an app.
really?
Yeah.
There you have it.
Can you teach me how to do a brisket, because Lucas is all on his high horse about, oh, look at this brisket.
Dude, it's easy.
Really? It's
Temperature
easy.
and time. Yeah, temperature and time.
It's like the A rig of meats.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
He showed me last night, man, how to do a turkey.
Really?
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
Spatchcock a turkey. Look it up.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what we're going to do. Anyway, man, greatly appreciate greatly appreciate the contribution to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, and hopefully we have pulled through for you. Most enjoyable time on the water with Matt, and then what we did last night.
You still have to get him a bowling ball?
Yeah.
And I
got you one on order, dude.
Okay.
A big
we're
pack
gonna ship
of
it
big
too.
bite baits and stuff that are coming in.
Yeah. So Matt's also working on BTL clothing.
Oh, nice.
So when we get that going, we'll get you hooked up with
Listen,
that too.
I need to ask if people would be interested, because this is, I'm putting myself out here on this, Mark. So I cashed a check at Neely Henry.
Yeah.
As the fish gods often do. Anything that you make, they find a way to take it back.
Mm-hmm.
Watch, I'm sure we got Sam in the queue here.
Yeah, we need to let everybody know who we have on today.
Okay, I think his last name is Sobieck. So he just goes by Sobe. Shake your head if that's. Can I just call you Sobe?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone calls him Sobe. He's kind of like Bono or Cher.
I like that.
Just a
Cher?
single name.
Share.
Yeah.
Shit, I could have gone with Sonny. But this dude is he's a younger dude, like
Your age?
no, he's
Younger?
10 years younger than me.
Okay.
He's mid 20s. He's like in the industry full time, but he's kind of like been around. He's worked with Scott, he's worked with the Guggen squads,
Yeah.
a couple of different guys on the Guggen squads. He has his own channel. Yeah. He's doing that Black and Blue series with the Greg Mansfield, and I always forget the other guy's name, and he's the one who's won the damn Open on Oneida. I don't know why I do this, because I parked next to Greg Mansfield at the Open, and we were having a nice conversation until his co-angler right before the national anthem went, "Dude, can you drop me off at the dock for a second?" Greg goes, "Seriously?" And he's like, "Seriously." And so then that ended the conversation. But he's just done a ton of different projects. He's in the industry, so he understands the YouTube, the value of that, how to make a living kind of behind the scenes in the industry. But he also fishes the Opens as a co and wants to fish. So he Adam Bartuzek, who also is kind of a younger guy in the industry.
Yeah.
I wonder if these guys are making money, because I wasn't making crap when I was 25 working for you covering this stuff.
Well, YouTube didn't exist.
I know, but these guys are all kind of in the industry. If we've had a lot of the BTL conversations, actually, JD, you've called in a lot to talk about the impact that YouTube and stuff has had on the kayak game.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on the show to talk about kind of all of those aspects and how he sees it all kind of melding together.
Very cool.
What percent of your sales are driven by YouTube, social media, would you say? People who come in and say, "Hey, I want this kayak that I've seen on this
It's
channel."
a vast majority. Sales this time of year usually slow down. I had a guy, 72-year-old guy, comes in, and he knows what he wants because he's been looking at YouTube videos. He comes in, he goes, "I looked at this one, and this one, but I want to go with this Bonafide because that's what I see people online." He goes, "I've watched all the videos," and he goes, "I'm going to wait on some of the accessories. I've seen a lot of videos." He goes, "I think I know what I want, but it's crazy."
Dang
But-
it! That's
that you,
my
man?
phone. Yes.
Matt. Rookie
not
mistake.
good at all. You do that too. All right.
I know.
I have to mention something before we go to break.
Okay.
Bassmaster.com, Trip Weldon penned an article, and man, we obviously have known and worked with Trip, and everyone else has
Long
too.
time.
And if
Yeah.
there's one person that a lot of crap gets talked about, it's the tournament director. And I have never heard a single guy. They've heard him say, "I don't like what Trip did," or "I'm upset over it." I've never heard a single guy rip on Trip, say that they don't trust Trip. Dude,
Yeah.
this guy is the glue behind an organization. I mean, you're out there fishing, and the tournament director is the only link between credibility and tomfoolery. I don't know if that's the correct word, but I mean, would you not agree that a consistent, trustworthy tournament director, in the kayak world too, is critical to the validity of your organization? And Bass has 3 great ones, and all the organizations have great tournament directors right now. But, dude, Tripp said that he's got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And he said it's treatable, but he basically is saying, I think this might be his last year. He said, "I do think in life you have your runs, and mine with Bass is close to an end. Many of you know I've been contemplating retirement early next year as I will turn 65. We will have to see how the treatments go. It's got a good cure rate. It's in God's hands. I put my trust in him and the medical professionals."
Yeah. Yeah, it's a battle, and it will be a battle, but it is a winnable battle. So there's very few people that have had an effect from a tournament director standpoint in the industry like Tripp has had. And, you know, we talk about the Hall of Fame auction. He might be, because I don't know if there is currently a tournament director in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. If you're going to put one in there.
Oh, dude, he's got to be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Has to be a
100%.
first ballot Hall of Famer for bass
100%.
fishing. So thoughts with him, it sounds like he might do it. Oh, I don't know if did I get off on the tangent with the clothing? Did I ever
you never
finish
went
that?
into it.
Did I ever finish that
Talked
line
about
of
I won
thought?
some money on Neely Henry,
Yeah.
and then you kind of got tracked.
Yeah.
So I've got a little bit of a coin, and I'm thinking of investing that back into the BTL clothing because Jeffries is tight. He's like, I don't know about it, but I think I see an avenue there. The holidays are coming up. We're talking about basic stuff. We might have, like, I think this is called the Shadow hoodie. That might be like an AFCO with just BTL. We're not talking like gaudy stuff here. Just classy, little clean stuff. Short sleeve, long sleeve, Richardson 112 hat, BTL, AFCO hoodie. I mean, it'd be like 60, 70, 80. I mean, it'll have, these things are not cheap, but they keep you warm. And they're awesome.
And they last long.
So I don't know. Give me some feedback on that.
It wasn't that I don't want to. I just don't want to put the time and effort into it. That's the deal.
And I think I do, because that might keep me afloat after all the random expenses that I've had lately with props and lower units.
It's all good. All right, we're going to take a break.
Insurance claims.
We're going to take a break here real quick, but I do want to remind everybody, tomorrow, Matt and I, it is the monthly Sunline Hotline show. A little different twist. If you're listening right now and you want to take part from a video standpoint, shoot me an email, mark@basszone.com. I will send you what is required to be part of the video link, and you will actually take part in the show, in the Sunline Hotline show, via video link.
It's a bold move.
All you have to, hey man,
it's a bold move to do that after yesterday's show. We're gonna have some interesting call-ins. I heard.
We shall see. What
we were
happens
fishing.
tomorrow.
I wasn't here.
No,
we were fishing, but I heard it's generated some interest. It's generated some feedback, Mark.
Yes, it has. So I'm throwing it out there, and we will open up the phone lines. And then once again, if you want to be a part of the video feed with Matt and I tomorrow, all you have to do is send me an email, mark@basszone.com, and I'll shoot you the link. And yes, I will have the dump button tomorrow. Matt knows what the dump button is, right?
It's a magic button in case something happens.
Oh, okay.
They're gone.
Yeah.
It's all good,
Probably
though.
a good thing to have.
Yeah, especially tomorrow.
You don't have the 3-second delay?
No.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to take a break, come back with Sobe here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
Let's face it, Fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Hey everybody, Tide Faircloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, I mean, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Lew's doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, ready to go to our special guest. And Matt, do you know who Francis Ford Coppola was?
Was he the guy who alerted everyone that the British were coming?
No. JD, you want to fill him in?
He's a big movie director. Made some of the most epic movies ever. But
yeah.
But you're a young guy. So
Such as?
I don't
like
know.
Gone with the Wind?
No,
not that long ago.
Was he involved with the Godfather movies?
I can't remember.
I think so. Epic producer, director. Yeah. Francis Ford Coppola.
Were you into the...
Not the British is coming.
Were you into the Black Flag music type? You guys are roughly the same age. Were you in the same circles?
I wasn't. I was into the new age punk stuff. Not
hardcore punk.
I lived in Central Illinois. I wasn't an LA kid like.
Yeah.
You're from LA, right?
Yeah.
We were trying to discuss this. What kind of style does Central Illinois have?
Style?
Yeah. Like, I mean, you know, Jeffries has the LA. There's like the up north, like, oh, let's go sit in an ice house.
Oh, for sure.
And then there's like the far south.
Well, but
you know.
Illinois, Central Illinois is pretty like generic. I mean, it really is. People don't really have an accent. You go up to Chicago, you got an accent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that whole deal. It's
You get to anywhere further south, you have an accent.
Yeah, exactly. So
maybe it's just because we were raised there that we don't think we have an accent. Maybe we do have an accent.
it could be. I don't know.
You see what I'm saying there? I mean, do you think people who all are from the same place think they all have an accent, or do they think everyone else has an accent and they talk normal?
No.
No. They're proud of their accents.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's bring in our guests. Let's see here. Sam, you there, man?
I'm here. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt.
No, man. Cool stuff. I'm really interested in hearing kind of the trials and tribulations of the progression of where you have gotten doing what you do, man.
Yeah, well, first off, from a marketing standpoint, I want to go into, I feel like giving the pitch for Bass Talk Live sweatshirts and then following that up with, I don't think Central Illinois people have a style. I feel like that was the wrong. I mean, is that the wrong pitch?
He's got a good point, man.
But they could have style if they order a BTL sweatshirt.
There you have it.
See how we just turned it right there. It wasn't. I made fun of people who ice fished in my hometown just in about 30 seconds.
LA.
No, I just said everyone has their own style.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Have at it, Matthew.
All right,
Jeez.
so JD calls in a lot on the show, talks about, and you've actually called in a lot about the social media influence, and so this is kind of cool to have Sam on. So just start out for all the BTL listeners and viewers, who the heck are you, and how did you end up doing what you've done? And don't be shy here, like really kind of explain some of who you've worked with and what you've done over the past 5 years.
Totally, yeah. Well, my name is Sam Sobieck, but everybody calls me Sobe. It seems like ever since I was playing sports or fishing tournaments back in middle school, everybody's called me Sobe. So I kind of rolled with that. And I'm from kind of southern Minnesota area, and I basically lived here my whole life. I grew up obviously being in love with bass fishing and the tournament scene and stuff like that. Fished kind of like in the beginning days of like where the high school bass fishing is really taking off. That's when, like, I'm talking me and Adam Bartushik, one other dude from my high school, was into it. That's before it kind of really blew up. And this was like right when I feel like the GoPro generation was just happening. Like GoPro Gen 1s were coming out, and it seemed like an action cam was really accessible and kind of easy to use. So then we kind of got a hold of those, played around with those for a little bit, and one thing led to another. We started kind of just making little fishing videos for ourselves, because you wake up every Saturday morning and you watch fishing on TV, and you just kind of try to replicate that. And from there, it kind of snowballed. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Okay, that didn't answer any questions.
Okay,
how did you end up working with Scott Martin? How did you end up working with the Guggen Squad? How did you end up with this big social media following?
Yeah, so that was like, okay, so that's just like, I guess, my childhood and stuff as I was in high school. And then when I went off to college, I went to University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, and the whole premise on going there was basically for their bass fishing team. They were pretty established. They had good funding. That's not a reason you should probably go to a school, but I guess that was my biggest reason. So I went there, did that, and then kind of during this whole time, I was studying graphic design, but on the back burner, I was always like filming fishing shows. Like, this is when Facebook fishing pages were kind of just getting big, and I was linked up with a bunch of northern boys, and we were out ice fishing, you know what I mean? And filming stuff like that, hanging out in the ice house, and we were filming that and kind of capturing that and stuff like that. And that's when we first started playing with YouTube, and I started doing freelance jobs for kind of some local pro-am fishermen. And then that, I mean, it just, the more you do film, the more people talk, like who shot that or who edited that or where'd you see that? And that's when I was like, I think I was close to a senior in college. I got recommended to either follow the path of being on like a Jason Mitchell Outdoors as his cameraman, or to fly down south and kind of moving with the Guggen Squad and work for one of them personally, and then kind of work for the whole team and film and edit for them. So, and that's when I made the decision, like, I think I need to drop out of college and take this opportunity, which I'm not saying is always the right move either, but as far as like what I wanted to do and the career path I wanted to take, it was the right choice for me. So went down there, worked for them in Texas for a couple of years. And obviously the whole time we're bouncing around filming in pretty much every state in like 6 or 7 different countries, filming some awesome stuff. And yeah, that's where like the whole Scott Martin thing comes in. We did a lot of collabs with him and took trips, and this is kind of right when YouTube was really, I guess, booming in the outdoor market. It's still booming. I don't think it's oversaturated yet. I don't think it's over yet, but that's when it kind of was first kind of going off.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool. That's really cool. What are some of the challenges when you decided to make that move and do what you did? What were your biggest challenges? Because of this thing that all of a sudden it had exploded.
Yeah, I guess like the unknown. So like I said, I kind of had two options. Like there was guys that wanted me to hire on for to be like their cameraman for their TV shows, for big northern outdoor shows. And then there was this YouTube option, and I could kind of see like just the hype and the views and obviously all the exposure behind the YouTube thing, but TV was the staple. So I guess one seemed a little bit more risky at the time and one seemed like the staple, but I thought the market and everything was kind of moving more online anyways back in, I guess, maybe 2015, 16. And that's kind of why I decided to go that route. But it was tough too at the same time, because being like a senior dropping out of college to go move down with a bunch of 20-year-olds it's not exactly, and I was only like 21, 22 myself. So that wasn't easy.
So when you talk about the Guggen Squad, and obviously, man, if you look at some of the stuff that they've represented and some of the stuff that they've done in the past, they drive a lot of product, which in this industry with what you do, it's all about generating sales. Yeah. And not only have they gotten a lot of people into fishing, I have been very positive on the Guggen Squad the entire time. Whatever you would ask, I'm like, man, they're getting people into fishing, they're generating interest, and they're putting income into the bass fishing economy. They're literally doing all three things that KVD is doing, and that the top 2 or 3 guys in the tournament fishing in the tournament world are doing.
They're moving the needle.
Right.
Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time around that. You've worked for one. Like, was their goal to set out, hey, let's move this needle? Was it, hey, let's make money, let's be the trendsetters? Or was this something that kind of evolved organically? Because, I mean, you go back and you look at all, and you're kind of the same age, and you had a hand in it. Did this whole thing happen organically, and now all of a sudden, holy cow? Or has this been like a plan that all these guys and that you as a part of the filming had, like, we're going to start and then we're just going to take over this empire?
Yeah. I think their beginnings were kind of the same. Like they were just kind of coming up in the GoPro generation too, and they just were doing it for fun. And I feel like they were really first to market. Obviously what they've done has been incredible. Like you said, they've obviously got a lot more people into fishing, moved the needle, but they were kind of some of the first guys to really consistently just kind of throw content on YouTube. And then it snowballed for them. And then I think after time, like, they realized kind of the audience they had and the exposure they had. So then they kind of, collaborated together, and then they formulated a plan, which I feel like was more business driven, money driven. But in the beginning, I feel like it was more, they're just kind of doing it to do it.
Do you see an influence from the Guggen Squad in your shop at all, JD?
Yeah, I think I called in to you guys talking about that at one point, because I went to one of my wholesalers had a show, and I went down to that, and we did a little fishing tournament, and they gave us a little goodie bag, and in the goodie bag was some Guggen baits, the plastics, when they first came out. And you've all the Guggen Squad stuff on YouTube and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, well, I wonder if it even works. So literally the first time I actually went to Weldon Springs.
Okay.
There's a big brush pile on the dam there.
Yeah.
And I threw it in there and got like a 3-pounder the first time I threw it in there. And I was like, well, I guess that kind of works. I mean, they look a lot and they act a lot like the Rage stuff, but I know it's different. But I mean, how different can you make a bait anyway? But it works, and that's one of the things is it works, and they have the influence in the young kids, because there's tons of young kids that fish around in our little town. There's some of the nicer communities have their little ponds, and all the kids fish there, and they're coming in, and it's funny. You see some of these kids come in and they're like, "Oh, you've got the Guggen baits back in," because I was out of stock when this whole thing went down. Man, that was like I was out of pretty much everything. And then I got the some of the stuff back in. I put post out there, and these kids are coming in. It's like, all right, because they didn't have anything else to do in the summer either.
So your income is generated. I would assume you have an LLC. You're an independent contractor, and you just contract out to all these people. How much of it are these people saying, "This is what I want. I need you to film and edit it," or like the Black and Blue series that you're doing now with the Open? Is it? Do you have a lot of creative content, a lot of creative license to where you kind of put your spin on it? Because I've started watching a lot of little things that you've edited and things, and it seems like you kind of have a lot of creative license in the editing of this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's kind of that's what I like most about what I do. So my income or my whole business is generated from like a million different ways. Obviously, like I could shoot a wedding one weekend. I could be filming the opens for one guy one weekend. I could be doing YouTube channel for one weekend. Whatever. It kind of bounces all over. But as far as like the creative process for the clients I work with, they kind of lean on me more so in the fact just go out there and make it awesome. And that can sometimes be a tough thing to do, to have all the creative freedom, but it can be fun too because you can really put your own twists and turns on it.
Hey, I have to say this, dude. It looks like the Sister of St. Francis is like shining over your left shoulder.
There you go.
The sun is just like
it
coming
just
out.
slowly.
It was like, oh, need that music in the background.
So this is a behind the scenes talk that I struggle with, trying to create my own YouTube content that I know a lot of other people do too. You've got guys who are doing it themselves. You have big production. You got Wheeler. You've got Polinick. You have Hunter Shryock. You've got a lot of Mark Daniels Jr., Scott Martin, Brian Latimer, and now all of a sudden you're saturated, or you have the potential to be saturated.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start seeing the same trends: slow-mo scenes, drone shots, Talk about as someone who does this full time, and I've kind of been a little bit in your shoes too. Obviously, not with the same. I've worked with some big. I've worked with some pretty big names.
Really, pre-YouTube
for me. But how do you see this going? The evolution, and how do you separate yourself from the other videos so it's not same stuff, different guy?
Yeah, that's funny you bring that up because like I try to watch as much as I can, obviously, just for different creative inspiration and see how people are editing stuff or see how people are really kind of attacking a story and telling it, because that's what I feel like good film is at the end of the day. If you can somehow tell the story in a unique way and keep your audience interested the whole time, then you've kind of done your job. So even it's funny because I remember when I was, I think, a sophomore, that's when we first watched like 20 Feet Deep, and we were like, oh man, like we queued it up on the TV, boom, and that style, that almost kind of documentary style, formed to more of a vlog or more of just a hype video, then more to a very raw vlog. It seems like it's the storytelling within kind of the fishing scene and media has changed so much. But I don't know, it seems like there's roadblocks all the time because you don't want to be like somebody else. You want to have your own style, but at the same token, what else can you do?
Yeah.
All right. I want to know, funny wise, just a pretty funny story. What has happened behind the scenes that folks just have not seen on YouTube from some of the stuff that you've done, Sam?
Oh my gosh. Everything funny. And I feel like that's that's that way with anybody who's done anything with video, is like what you see on YouTube or in a commercial or a television show isn't exactly how it went down. Obviously it's edited and stuff, but like grabbing a different shot or getting something, we've so many times fallen in the water or lost GoPros or lost cameras or just, a lot of...
Have you lost a drone yet?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've probably lost 4 drones and a couple in different countries. And it's just,
We're not playing like a pass the secret here. JD's audio is a little low.
Good. I can hear everybody else, but
on
I
Sam.
can hear Sam.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear him at all?
Yeah, I can barely hear him. But.
Yeah.
Oh, barely's better than done. All right. We'll just have to okay, so we cover tournament fishing a lot on this, and I want to get into this. This is kind of the nitty-gritty of this, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. So you're fishing the Eastern Opens as a co-angler.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're doing the Joel Willard and Greg Mansfield Black and Blue series. Very underrated series on YouTube right now. These guys are legit. They're not trying to be YouTube stars, and you can tell, like, you're sitting there going, bro, I need transitions. Like, you have to do transitions for me. You know what I mean? Like, and you're editing that, right?
Yeah, so I'm editing all the Easterns with them, and then they've got another person, Abby, that travels with them, and she's editing the Centrals and filming the Centrals.
But they're doing the whole thing, and they're both catching them, and it's going well, and you're fishing the Easterns. So you have seen the tournament side of this, work with some of the big guys on the tournament side. You're in it. You've done the Guggen Squad, the YouTube side, the social media. Is there a big difference off the water as far as you feel the impact a top level tournament angler and a top level YouTuber have as far as product sales, recognizability, I guess fame for lack of a better word? Like, where do you see the value of each of those in the broader scheme of bass fishing?
Yeah. So it seems like they're just almost two different markets in my eyes. But there's a lot of guys I feel like living in the gray area. So like we'll go far to the right, like somebody like big in the tournament scene, big in media, somebody like a Brandon Polnick or a Mike Iaconelli or somebody like that. They're crushing it. They have different income streams coming in other places. Their exposure wise is through TV and YouTube and different podcasts and like an Ike Live, and Brandon has his amazing YouTube series. Like there's a market for those guys, and I feel like I'm that market. I like watching tournament bass fishing. That's what I love. And I idolize those guys, watch what they do, watch what they use, and I obviously consume what they kind of promote. And then on the far end of it, like we'll do like a YouTuber who's maybe just like fishes ponds, or maybe he's just a kayak angler, or maybe he just always fishes from shore inshore. And I guess that's a totally different market. People that like relate to that more and like love that more might necessarily not love Kevin Van Dam as much, just because I mean, they don't have a totally souped up bass boat and stuff like that, but they do love to fish ponds or golf course ponds or something like that. So it's two different markets in my eyes.
Equally valuable though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
All right. I have a question, kind of a follow-up on that. What is more important, a top 3 finish in a national tour event or a substantial YouTube presence?
Oh man. This goes back to kind of what Matt was saying, even like a couple podcasts ago, like nobody remembers second place. So if the conversation is more on the first place finish, and if you won that on a specific bait, I feel like that'll blow the doors open and sell a ton of baits. But if you have a crazy good YouTube presence and you promote and present a bait the right way, the conversion can be unbelievable. How many people will kind of jump to that, like JD saw with the baits in his store. So I don't know.
If you are aspiring or a new elite series pro circuit professional angler, do you think there's any way you can be maximizing your potential without a YouTube channel, social media followings, and filming your tournaments? Or are the days of going out without having a camera running on your boat, I mean, is that in the past now?
I don't know. I think you should. I don't see why you wouldn't. I really don't see why you wouldn't. GoPros aren't hard to learn. Even if you're one of these guys like, I ain't good at technology much, like you can learn it 100%.
Are you making fun of Oklahoma now?
No.
Come on now.
Oh, God, come on.
I've heard that in Central Illinois, too. I don't know. That sounds like a Central Illinois accent.
That's pretty funny.
We'll meet in the ice house and have a fist fight.
Like, that's what I'm saying. If I got guys out here that live in an ice house and fish out of a hole this big, and they can work a GoPro, I'm sure you can run a $20,000 or a $50,000 bass rig and figure out a GoPro. So I think they should. It maximizes themselves, and kind of like why podcasts are so popular now. It's like there's a relatability, and you really get to figure out that person's personality. Like I don't really know who Kevin Van Dam is, just because I've seen him obviously in promotional videos and stuff like that. But I know who somebody like a Brandon Polnick is, or Carl Jacobson. He's very like fluent with his Instagram. Like I know their personality. I know a Mark Jeffries personality. I know a Matt Pangrass personality, just because of the content they're putting out there, which in turn I think is going to grow their fan base and help keep longevity with them in the sport, holding different sponsors and interacting kind of with their whole audience.
Makes sense.
What's the next big thing, Sam?
Honestly, I think the next big thing is going to be more so live streamed. So it's went from TV, what I think, to YouTube, which is almost semi-live, now to kind of like straight up live stream. Like I love Bass Live, and I don't know if the platform is going to switch from more of a YouTube to like a Twitch or something like that, where it's a large live stream platform. But I think that's the only place it can go. But I think YouTube still, it's got a long time in it.
Let me ask you this. Matt brought up the question about the aspiring tournament angler. You know, do they need a YouTube presence? My question is, and Matt mentioned it earlier, the saturation. If they do it, and they do it just like everybody else is doing it, where's the value? Because now that saturation is available. If you had to give one of those guys advice in doing it, but doing it differently, what would you tell him?
Yeah, I would say the only way to like really separate yourself, if you're not some crazy editor, or you weren't born in Hollywood, or you don't know anything about cameras in general, is just be yourself. You know what I mean? Everybody's personality is different. If you can really be real on the camera with them and kind of project that, and your trials and tribulations is maybe making the Elite Series or going through the Opens, if you can put that through a lens, it doesn't need to be the most perfect shot. You'll separate yourself 100%.
Brad Hallman, Todd Castledine, Andrew Upshaw, great examples. They're in Scott Martin's house. They use a little bit of his drone footage and overall, but dude, those guys are getting watches and follows because Todd's being Todd, Brad's being Brad, Andrew's being Andrew.
Yeah, real quick, and here's some insight on Bradley. 2 years ago, I asked Brad, I said, hey man, I'd really like to get you on the show and try to kind of gradually phase you in. And you know what his response was? I want nothing to do with that. I just want to fish. I want nothing to do with video, with anything.
No
with social
GoPro,
media,
no photos, nothing.
I just want to catch fish. Now look at him. All right. When he's a guest on BTL, it's one of the most viewed shows that we have. People have really become vicariously kind of relating to what Brad Hallman is like.
Now his stress level is through the roof as he learns how to edit, and he's like, I'm so far freaking behind these guys and all the videos.
But that's a
stuff like
case
that.
of a guy that could go out. Obviously, he's had success with 2 FLW Tour wins, but decided, you know what? I really do need to do this, and has done a pretty doggone good job at doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He really has.
Totally.
Yeah.
How many people reach out to you now? I mean, you've got, 40,000 people on your Instagram. You obviously have a lot of connections. I mean, do you have a lot of anglers that reach out for advice or that hire you for individual products, or do you still have to kind of go out and search out your next projects?
Yeah, a lot of people reach out. I try to spend majority of my time now not doing like client work or freelance work. I'm trying to move it more over to my channel. I've got just under like 50,000 subscribers, and every day that I'm not kind of working on that channel, it doesn't grow. And that's kind of, but yeah, a lot of people are reaching out, and that's something I'd like to say too. If you're in high school or college, or heck, maybe way older, and you have, aspirations to work within the industry, maybe even on the media side, people are looking for cameramen everywhere, cameramen and editors. And you don't have to be amazing, but just somebody who can kind of do it.
Edwin, Skeet, Kevin, Rick, Clun, all that. You have way more YouTube subscribers than those guys. What do you think? What do you think it is? Is this an algorithm thing, a content production thing? Are you just more popular than that? You see what I'm saying? You look at, here's what I do. I look at the YouTube and I'm like 100,000 subscribers, and I look at one and it's like 6,000 subscribers. And one guy's won classics and AOYs, and everyone knows who he is, and the other guy just doesn't really even fish. Now, I'm not saying it's bad content at all. I'm just saying, how does that disparity happen where there's obviously 6 figures of people who are interested in fishing, but someone who follows Sobe, I would think would also follow Skeet Reese. But obviously, there's a lot of people that don't make that transition. Like, how is there a group of you guys that have jumped so far ahead of the, quote, mainstream tournament guys?
Like I said, I think it comes back to kind of like relatability, and you can really figure out somebody's personality when they're posting on a consistent basis. I feel like consistency is everything.
Yeah, you got to have content out there. I've seen some of the interviews with some of the Guggen Squad guys, and that was their first deal, was no matter what, we're going to put something out there like every 3 days or something like that, and you just build that content. And a lot of it's probably going to suck, but it's still there, and you learn as you grow and you go. So and if you're following somebody and they never post anything, they just kind of get lost in your feed. So
consistency, consistent quality, regardless of what's going on. That's the biggest thing, Sam.
Yeah, I'd say consistency and just being real with the camera, and then also telling the story if you can. Like, obviously that's easier said than done, but some people relate more to me because I feel like I'm more of a storyteller, where some people
you tell
relate.
A great story. Like, I watched some of your latest videos. You tell a great story, very enthusiastic, but very genuine with it.
Yeah.
Now, on the instant feedback, Scott in Virginia, pretty interesting question. He wants to know, have you ever thought about having classes or some type of virtual learning to help people with YouTube content and how to produce it, how to film it, how to shoot it? What's your response on that?
I've thought about that a lot. There's so like one of the greats in like fishing and media, Al Linder's Angling Edge, like that's a big North thing. You know what I mean? They put on a class like every fall. I think it's called like fishing in the or working in the industry or jobs in the industry or industry workshops, stuff like that. I think there should be more industry workshops because it's like when I was growing up, I had no idea that there was a potential to even work within the industry behind a camera or in front of a camera or anything like that. But if I don't know, I would love to put on workshops or be a part of any of that.
Do you do any live stuff? I mean, is that something, I'm throwing an idea out here, you know, maybe once a month, twice a month, whatever it is, have a live show where you actually have some interaction with people that want to learn from your experience?
Yeah, that's at the time, no, I don't. I've thought about podcasts myself and stuff like that, but a live show, that could be decent. That could be a really good idea.
I'm the idea guy.
All right. What are the most important platforms right now in your opinion? Because I am not on, I don't even know what, really I'm not sure what Twitch is. And then what's the one that...
Twitch is a big gamer.
What's the one that almost got banned?
Twitch. What?
What's the one that almost got banned? They were afraid they were going to ban it.
TikTok?
Swindle. Yeah, TikTok.
TikTok.
Like, am I missing out because I'm not on TikTok?
No.
What's the deal? Because I know this, and I know that you always are trying to get in. So, hey, you get in early on YouTube, it helps. You get in early on Instagram, you get in early on Facebook, all that. I mean, are you constantly looking at new different social media platforms?
I feel like a couple of years ago, I really was. And a couple of years ago, I would have jumped on like the TikTok bandwagon. At the moment, I never bought into it. I didn't make a TikTok. I obviously know it's extremely important because I have creator buddies myself who have converted a lot of new followers from TikTok over to their YouTube channel, which obviously helps. Or just they get themselves out there on TikTok. They're getting their face in front of new people. So I'm not on it right now. I think the most important platforms are an Instagram and a YouTube. But I'm not a TikToker.
Not Facebook.
Facebook?
You'd rather do Instagram, YouTube, and then Facebook.
I'm the top priority, like Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Facebook is still a viable platform.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
Instagram,
like
you can link it to your Facebook account. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Good point, JD.
Well, I will be the first to admit, I've admitted on this show that I had a horrible mistake in not getting involved in the YouTube platform.
Wait, let me explain on how this happened. So the year is 2015, I think, 14.
Oh,
whatever year
14.
that Rick Clunn almost won on Falcon Lake. Remember what year that was, JD?
I don't.
It was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of our listeners could know what it is. But they had a wind canceled day in Zapata, Texas.
Yes.
And this was during the heyday. This might be too young for you, Sam. You might remember it, though. Of the Harlem Shake.
Oh, yeah, I remember the Harlem Shake. Yeah.
So we had a day off. What do? We get 10 or 15 different Spro frogs in a number of different sizes. Tie fluorocarbon line to the legs, to the noses of them. And we do the Harlem Shake with Spro frogs. You know, they're all lined up like that, and then it hits the Harlem Shake. And they're all humping each other and stuff. It's epic. So we make a BTL YouTube account. We're like, this is going to go viral. Put it on there, and it's got, and you know, we linked it to Rojas's account because we were doing Rojas's social media at the time. Things on fire, right? Like 2,000-3,000 views right off the hopper, going viral. Jeffries calls. The hell is this BTL YouTube account? We don't need this crap. It's all about page views on the site. You need to take it down, remove it. We are only on Vimeo and direct link into the website.
I admit, I was wrong.
Sponsors do not care about YouTube views. They do not care
wrong.
about impression. And David and I are like, what? We literally just like launched your retirement plan.
Yeah.
And he made us delete it all. And we didn't get YouTube till 2019.
Yeah. I was wrong. And the reason that I was wrong is I was very hard-headed because I was all about driving traffic to the site. Because that in the early days of positioning products, that was the most important thing. And I did not realize what the importance was of YouTube at the time. So now, what? 5 years later, we finally were like, oh, well, geez, we kind of need to do this YouTube stuff, you know. And I ate a lot of crow. And now we've been doing it for not even a year yet, I think, or a little over a year.
A little over a year.
And yeah, I missed the boat. In fact, the live streaming platform that I had, English Bob was my guy. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that. You were on the phone in England all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, hit control.
And, you know, when we made the switch over to YouTube's live platform, that was a big, important move for us. And I think we've experienced substantial growth because of that. Now, having said that, still the major part of what we do and the major resource or source that the fans get our show is through the on-demand podcast with all the podcast platforms. And that's really what has exploded over the past year and a half.
Yeah, heck yeah. I don't think it's over. Even though you think you missed the ball and you're late to the show, I don't think it's over at all. I think it's cool. You guys are kind of doing the live thing on YouTube as well as obviously this, but you guys you have a large fan base now. But like we were talking earlier, kind of like clients I work for and stuff. Probably one of the most fun projects I've worked on in a while is like with these two dudes I'm traveling with for the Opens, Greg and Joel. They just started their YouTube channel this year. It's called The Sickness, and that's the series we're shooting called Black and Blue as they kind of chase their way to the Elite Series or just kind of show their experiences on the Open. And they kind of said the same things like, we wanted to do this years ago. We didn't think it'd be a big deal. Is it even worth it? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. And I'd say that to anybody who's even thinking about starting a YouTube now, like in 2020, like, is it worth it at all? Even if the only thing you get out of it is you get to watch awesome videos from back in the day, like 5-10 years from now, you get to show your grandkids that. I think that's totally worth it. And why not? Like, I've seen my grandpa loved to fish, and I've seen one picture of him in his whole life ever holding a fish. Can you imagine going back and watching GoPro footage of your grandpa catching fish on a free platform called YouTube? That's why I'd always say it's never too late. Never too late to play around with the platform.
And even if you have a big following or not, I mean, I'm just thinking in your case, JD, I mean, if you have access to videos of people in kayaks that you sold them or that, I mean, that's valuable to you. Even it's easier for people to find it and then get in contact with them to say, hey man, I like your yak, how'd you get that? And then they get in contact with you. So I mean, you're 3 or 4, I mean, even if you know there's not 1 million people watching it, the right people is all you need.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Sam, what can we do? Once again, we're late in the game, but what can we do to increase our YouTube presence? What is some of the things?
Yeah, that's what he charges for. That's his job. That's where we have to wait till after the show and then.
It's kind of like, hey, whoa, hang on. It's kind of like the guy that comes on the sports talk radio that gives his picks on the betting lines, and he throws a couple of bones out there.
He's giving you the pick of the week.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for.
Sure, I'll give you the pick of the week, but this is just for Mark Jeffries. I'll go individually. So Mark Jeffrey, I'd say there's a huge wide open door for a vlogger that's a bowler on YouTube. The bowling market on YouTube, I feel like, is so small. You could go around, you could hop around from alley to alley, you could vlog the whole thing, talk about different lanes, talk about different balls, just record it all. That's how, I mean, that's my advice for you, Mark.
Oh, geez. I actually have an idea because I'm doing some work with Brunswick, of where one of the Brunswick pros is randomly going to show up at a bowling center and challenge the #1 dude in the league. And we're going to do it live.
Is that not you? Are you not the #1 dude?
Last night he was the #1 dude. Everyone was stopping and watching him bowl, and Jeffries was like coming around giving the fist pump after the strike.
I was not.
He's like, you got to be freaking kidding me. The whole bowl, when he had a couple 7-10s. You got to be freaking. The whole bowling alley's like looking at him.
When you got what? I think you had 5 strikes in a row or something like that.
Yeah,
he got a little nervous.
Yeah, I was just straight down the middle. All right, your pick of the week for JD, who owns the kayak shop.
Okay,
and tackle store.
pick of the week for JD is like, I feel like JD's a super cool dude that has other interests outside of fishing, like a magic mystery meat rub. I feel like if he integrated some cooking stuff like that into his own personal channel in his life, people would be like, dude, I like to grill. I like burning meat. I like kayaking. Let me come on down to this guy's shop and see what he's all about.
Yeah, for sure. And cool. It goes back, and I can understand why people hire people like Sam, because it's a lot of work. I mean, I've done some YouTube stuff when I first started the shop. I wasn't doing a lot of other stuff, so I had plenty of time to do the editing and all that fun stuff. And then, we were shut down during the pandemic stuff. I started the JD Murray stuff, and I started a YouTube channel there. But holy cow, it's like it gets to be almost too much work, and it'd be nice to hire somebody. But, and it goes back to just getting the content out there and just being able to, post regularly.
Dude, I'm going to piggyback on what Sam said. I think once a month, once this COVID thing is settled down, you should have a meat fest at the store.
I've thought
and you
about
invite everyone who's bought the kayaks, and then you invite people who are prospects. You start your email list. You get the smoker going. You've got your JD Murrays there.
Well, we've already kind of done that. I sponsor a couple tournaments, and so we have like I was with the Kayak Bass League, and we used to do the opens. And then part of the deal was the first time I did one, I did a barbecue as well. And dude was like, oh my God, the heck with the fishing, man. We're just waiting for the barbecue afterwards. And, and I was kind of bummed we couldn't do that this year, because Illinois was shut down. We couldn't have gatherings and stuff. And it was a bummer. It really was. So I already doing stuff like that.
Pick of the week for me, Sam.
Okay, Matt Pangraff. Obviously a great fisherman, an aspiring Elite Series angler, but I feel like he just lacks so much style being from Central Illinois. And I feel like there's a lot hear me out now. I feel like there's a lot of folks out there that feel like they don't have a style or a niche they fit into, and he could kind of break that mold as being, I'm just a normal guy from Central Illinois. And he rolls with it. There's relatability.
My abnormality is my normalcy.
Absolutely.
Very nice. All right. So as far as you're fishing as a co-angler, tell everyone where people can follow you, get in contact with you, and what the heck is your future involved? You gonna be editing videos the rest of your life, or you want to fish on the Elite Series or the MLF Pro Circuit, or what are your aspirations? You're still a young dude.
Yeah. So first off, you can follow me on YouTube, just Sobe, SOBI. On Instagram, you can follow me just Sam_Sobie_. It'll pop up, stuff like that. But as far as what I want to do is, it's tough because half my year, I love living up north. I do love the ice fishing scene. I love being out in winter, and I love the bass fishing up here as well. I'd like to continue to kind of capture that and make awesome videos up here and kind of put that out there for everybody. But on the same token, I do aspire to make the Elite Series someday. And that kind of goes back to like why I'm doing stuff with Greg and Joel and on the Sickness and their YouTube channel. Like I'm getting an amazing opportunity to travel with them, see how they do it. So make sure, beyond checking out me, make sure you go check out my buddies on the Sickness YouTube channel. They're awesome dudes, and they've helped me out a bunch.
Hey, I don't want to invite myself, but dude, you probably could hook me up with an ice fishing trip this winter, right?
Yeah, anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Dude, I totally want to get. I've never ice fished.
Oh, wow. Dude, yeah. We'll fly in. You can hop off in Minneapolis. I'll pick you up, and we can go up north. And you don't have to bring any warm clothes. I'll bring everything.
Listen, I am an influencer. I average 3,000 to 5,000 views on my YouTube videos. I mean, that's a pretty big number right there. I know it's not. I'm just kidding.
And an aspiring clothing designer. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could do that could be the debut of the BTL clothing.
Yeah.
But dude, I would love it if we could somehow do it maybe live.
Oh, yeah.
BTL live from the ice house. And I'm also obsessed with yellow perch. So if we could possibly somehow catch yellow perch on BTL live from an ice house with a cold brew,
no problem.
Or maybe a little coffee and Bailey's, that would make my 2020-2021 winner.
There you have it.
100%.
All right, man. My last question: how good is it to be Sobe right now, man?
It's good. It's really good. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I really enjoy, not that I didn't enjoy the people I worked with before a ton, but the kind of being more wrapped into the professional tournament side of fishing and working with them as clients, and then working with my buddies back home as kind of co-hosts of my own show. It's good. I feel like I'm just around a lot of positive energy, positive people, and it's fun to go fishing, capture it, and put it out there for people.
All right, man. Great stuff. Really cool.
Any last words?
I was just, because I was in the hobby industry for so many years, and just the technology advancements in people being able to video themselves, not just with GoPros and stuff like that, but then the drone situation. I mean, I remember doing a market analysis for Horizon Hobby. This is probably 10, 12 years ago, just on the viability of drones and how easy they are to fly. And it's just, the kind of footage that you can get even in the hobby industry now used to be like, guy sitting on the side with a camera shooting a plane going by. Now they have, you've got FPV, the guy's got the goggles on, he's flying along with the plane, the RC plane, and it's just the video footage is amazing. And I'm sure that, there's the technology that's out there and that you use in the stuff that you do. I mean, it's so easy, and it's become quite affordable compared to what it used to be, for sure.
Totally.
I'll say this. So when I first got into this, it was 2007, 2008. Intern with Mark Jeffries, none of this GoPro, any of this stuff. And I remember going out there, and I'm talking like Steve Price and Steve Wright, Louis Stout. I mean, like the icons of it. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, there's like really Rob Russo was out there and a couple other guys. But in the beginning, I'm like, man, in this industry, there's really like no kind of next generation to take the torch from these guys. Mm-hmm. How is this going to happen? Because obviously you're going to have this sport covered just like anything, because you have to have the publicity and to get to disseminate the information in order to generate sales. Because I'm not going to pretend it doesn't all mean generating sales. But it was kind of interesting, because then I was like, okay, well, I can be that next kind of generation guy to get into it. And then you're like, well, there's really no one that's like coming after my generation, which, and I'll even throw Ronnie Moore into that generation. He was a couple years behind, but I mean, he got into it. And it seems now, and like I said, like I kind of got hooked up with you through just through social media and stuff. But then I'd also talked with your buddy Adam, who you went to high school. There's a number of other young editors and content creators, not like go write the gamer press release for day 2 of the Elite Series on Santee Cooper, like what Louis Stout did, or write the how they won the classic article afterwards. But in my mind, it's the same thing, different format, different skill set, but just with the progression of technology in 2021. Like, you guys are that next generation of the storytellers, which is what Louis Stout is, and those legends who write for Bassmaster and
John
Nepperandy, and Rob Newell, what he did over at FLW for so many years. And you guys are that next generation. It's cool to see that group of young guys that I can now name 4 or 5 who are making a viable living, impacting the industry and telling the stories, not through a Bassmaster magazine, but through YouTube and social media channels, which is just kind of the natural progression of Earth, I guess.
Yeah. All right, Sam, last thing, and then we'll let you go. Any new projects that you can talk about? Is there anything you have coming up that you can mention?
Okay. So this is just, I will only mention it on Bass Talk Live, and I'm not going to mention it again.
All right.
So last year in the fall, we shot, me and my buddy Adam, a bunch of my other buddies, we shot a big series called The One, where we chased down giant fish in the fall. And it had a lot of positive feedback. We took a lot of time and put a lot of effort into that production. And this year, we didn't put it out. We didn't do it. So people think. We did it. We did it harder. We did it bigger. And it's going to be amazing. I think we're going to drop it in March. This is kind of the first project I've done where I haven't shot it and then raced my horse off to just edit, turn it out. We wanted to take more time with this one, kind of really we did like a full week-long trip. It's going to be really epic. So that's coming in March. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Matt, Mark, JD. This has been unbelievable. I really appreciate your time and letting me come on here.
No, man, cool stuff. I am fascinated with what you are doing and the success that you're having. And, man, wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Yeah. All right, be safe, dude.
All right, you guys too.
All right, see ya. All right, man. Very cool stuff.
I told you it'd be good.
Yeah, that's a great get, Matt. great get. So
Like I said, Adam Bartuszek, who obviously are high school friends, they went back. He's the one who kind of suggested it. Sam had also reached out after I talked about the black and blue, so it was like this weird deal where I'd already talked to it, but then I was like, man, it kind of fits in with JD being in studio the day, but we didn't know till next week, and I got him dialed up, and then some of the conversations that you had recently kind of posed to the viewers about the viability of television and that advertising going forward. So I was happy with that.
Yeah. Really, really good guest. And if you missed part of it, definitely want to go back and listen to the replay on that. Some really cool insight on what Sam does.
And go to his YouTube channel. He's got some cool videos.
Yeah. Can you catch him?
Yeah. He's like, he's in the top. I think he's in the top. Here, let me pull this up real quick.
For co-anglers?
Eastern Open. Yeah, you get the co-angler thing is difficult because, I mean, you get like someone with a bad attitude.
I'm telling you right now, if you don't take him up on his offer to go ice fishing.
It wasn't an offer. It was a request by me, Ricky. There's a big difference.
You're mentally challenged.
There's a
if you
big
don't go on
difference
that trip,
between
man.
that. What you don't understand is they do this stuff like this is their careers. Like that's their, so I mean, it's not just, hey, let's go ice fishing and film it. It's like these guys have a business plan, a game plan.
Yeah.
They're not rookies at this. There's a reason why he dropped out of college to do this stuff. Yeah, it's risky. Yeah, it's not. It's. But they, you know what I mean? It's not like, hey, you have to have the right people in your videos. You're looking at a subscriber rate. You're working at collaboration. You're working at entertainment value. So I mean, I understand if I don't fit that bill, someone else is going ice fishing with Sobe this winter.
I got you.
He is. I was looking at 23rd. He's cashed a check this year and had a couple decent finishes.
Very nice.
God,
and man, sometimes it's more difficult to be a co-angler than in front of the boat.
Right, but you also have to understand what he's doing is very similar to what I did for a number of years.
Yeah.
He's living with guys who are doing it. He's learning. He doesn't even realize. He's 25, 26 now. He doesn't even realize what he's learning right now behind that when that transition comes, and as you like to say, it's nut cutting time.
Yeah.
Man, you've been around people who have done it, and you've seen how they get it done. Like I've seen the guys come off the water at 1 o'clock and be like, "Screw this! This isn't productive. I'm drinking a beer and watching TV instead of beating my head against the wall." I've also seen those same guys get on YouTube, or not at YouTube, on Google Earth the night before, and then be out dark to dark the next day because something clicked in their head and they're super excited. I've seen them go into tournaments thinking they're going to win and zero, and go in thinking they're going to zero and win.
Yeah.
That being on the road, I mean, instead of living through it and having it, I feel like that drastically reduces your learning curve when you actually go full in and take the plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday when I was asking you about your story and where you've been, and you tell me all the people you hung out with and on the road with. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, you can't buy that kind of information or that experience. You know, if you're not out there living it, and then you're living it with people who've actually done it, then it's like you see how they do it. And that's with anything in life, I think.
Yeah, and what you also understand is the more you get to know them, the more you realize there was someone who showed them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're just leeching off of them. Like there was someone like, oh, this guy took me under his wing, or this guy was my team partner who showed me the ropes on that too. But I mean, when you're filming it and you're behind the scenes and you're seeing it from a number of different angles, how each person gets it done. And it's interesting, at least from my perspective, it's almost like a golf swing, right? What is golf swing all about? It's all about your body position at the moment of impact, right? So you can take a Jim Furyk, or you can take a Tiger Woods, or you can take a John Daly even, and everything's totally different, but they all get their body in that same position at the moment of impact, and they're able to do it repeatably. It's a lot like that in tournament fishing. There's a lot of different ways to get that club out, generate your momentum, and get it too, but at impact, pretty much everyone's the same and dialed in.
No, that's a great point. Great point. All right, JD, how would you sum up the last couple of days for you?
Oh, I've had a blast. I mean, I got a 10-hour drive back home today, but that's not a big deal. It's, I've had a blast. I think I told you I used to come down here for a trade show at Oklahoma City, and it didn't happen this year, and so I was able to take some of those funds, and it's like, well, I told my wife, that's how I sold it to my wife. It's like, I'm doing this, but anyway, I've had a blast. You guys are awesome. I'm glad. I mean, we spent a lot of time together yesterday. I mean, 3 hours in the truck, and out on the water all day for 8 hours. It was a blast. I didn't, and the bowling, getting injured in bowling.
I heard Jeffries put you up at the Taj Mahal up in Tulsa there.
Oh, I don't blame anybody. This COVID thing that's the first time I've ever been out since, stayed in a hotel.
It wasn't nice. It's supposed to be a nice hotel.
It's an Embassy Suites, for crying out loud.
It was.
The one in Norman is fantastic.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's the best hotel around.
Yeah.
This area.
And they still had to cook the breakfast. The omelet guy was there cooking, but up in Tulsa, it was like, I left it, 4:30 in the morning, but to meet Matt. But anyway, it was just a whole different experience, and but it is what it is.
All right, man. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I know the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame really appreciates what you did in your contribution to their cause. I had a blast last night. Matt told me this morning, had a great time on the water yesterday, and be safe, man. And we wish you nothing but the best, especially with your tackle store and all the other endeavors that you might occur. I think Matt is 100% right. If you have that cook-off or barbecue fest or whatever, we may have to make the trip up.
All right, if you're within 100 miles of Central Illinois,
sure,
and you kayak fish
or
fish at all,
I sell all the stuff, man.
They need to go to your store.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
One more time.
JD's Fishing and Tackle Company in Monticello, Illinois. 5,000 people. Got a great little town. Great little square. We've been powering through this whole COVID thing, and a lot of the businesses have come together and helped support each other, and it's been a good time. It's been tough, but I was in a lucky industry. I have a friend who has 2 restaurants, and he's really been struggling, and he's had to actually close one of them. But it's just we're getting through it. I'm just wondering. I hope next year is going to be even better than this year. I don't know how it will be. Well, as far as
the fishing industry
wise, but yeah, it was interesting, and being able to have, it was one of those deals where I was like really stocked up, because I was like, man, I'm really going to do a good year this year, and I'm glad I did. I was stocked up because I actually had product, because everything just kind of shut down and you couldn't get stuff in, and all my kayaks are made in the United States, which is nice. But then it came into the issue with a lot of the factories had to shut down, and them getting back started up again. Luckily I had inventory, but come, what was it? I think late May, it was starting to get a little thin, but then some of the factories started coming back up and coming back online, and they were able to supply us. So, but it's changed the industry, the kayak industry especially, because they used to have, for Jackson Kayaks, for example, they used to, however they did their production, they would build the boats, and then it was like throughout the year, hey, I need this boat, and they're like, oh, we have it, or it's scheduled to be in production. Now they're producing to our preseason orders. So if you don't get your preseason order in, it might not be available. So
wow,
I've really had to stretch out and do some predictions. So
there were a couple of instant feedback messages over on basshone.com. They wanted to know what would be a good entry level kayak to get.
Bonafide. It depends. There's a couple of different ways you can go. New Canoe is a brand where they pretty much have an open kayak design, so you can just throw your tackle bag in, go have a good time. There's other ones that are more stable, or like Bonafide kayaks. That's been my best-selling kayak for the last 2-3 years since they've been out. The RS 117, and you're going to be looking at a kayak probably in the $800 to $900 range to up to $1,000 to get into it in something that's going to be worth your time to do. I think. I mean, people say they're high-end kayaks, but I mean, you can go. You've got cheap kayaks you can get at the local farm and fleet, or little $200 kayak, but one, they're not very stable. They are dangerous. I mean, especially seriously, if you've ever been out at the whatever 4-H camp or whatever and gotten in a kayak, more than likely you got wet.
Yeah,
they get their stability from you sitting down inside. Now, sit on top kayaks, the hulls are designed to be stable, and that's I would say at least look at anything in the $700, $800, $900 kayak. And actually, when over the last few years, a lot of the kayak manufacturers have gone away from doing super high-end stuff and started trying to fill in more in the entry-level stuff, and they're coming in at the $600 to $900 range. And then, like, my tournament boat is a Jackson Kayak Big Rig HD FD. It's a pedal drive. It's got an electric motor you can put on anything. So that's a $3,500 kayak retail. And then you put all the junk on it, and your
Live scope, trolling motor.
Well, yeah, I have live
Seriously.
scope. Yeah, I've got live scope on mine.
Wow.
It's just like bass fishing.
It is.
You can get in.
You can get a John boat?
an aluminum boat with a good trolling motor and a 6-inch graph, and be out there and actually fish tournaments with a 50 horsepower motor.
Yeah.
Or you can go
And
2020 Bass Cat Lynx, 250 Pro XS, the whole 9 yards.
And there's something for everybody. I mean, we were talking about Eric Jackson earlier. He left Jackson because he wanted to do some crazy stuff. And, Jackson's got a big company, got to support a lot of people. And so he said, I'm just going to take a flyer. And now he's producing an $11,000 carbon fiber kayak. Weighs like 40 pounds, 35, 40 pounds.
Wow.
It's insane. And one of the things he does is he uses it so he can get back in the shallow waters. And that's,
I will say, we had some windshield time. The guy knows his kayaks. I'm just saying it. I would feel very comfortable buying him. He's like, man, I don't like to upsell the guys because they'll buy a bunch of stuff they don't need. He's like, they come in, they're new. He's like, I put them in what they need, and then if it sticks, then they can come back and get the stuff later. So, dude, I appreciate it. I hope you had a great time coming down here.
Yeah,
I had a great time fishing with you. You are a very good fisherman, thank God.
We need to do the crappie thing, man.
100%. I invited him back. No Hall of Fame auction, just as a good dude coming down to go fishing to catch a 3-pound crappie.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That
this
sounds like a
winter.
blast.
I can't guarantee that. No one can guarantee that. Well, Sukup can, but.
Okay.
All right. Cool stuff. All right, folks, that's going to wrap things up today. Remember, if you want to take part in the Sunline Hotline show tomorrow via our video feed, just shoot me an email, mark@basszone.com. We will get you hooked up. And if not, the Sunline Hotline will be open tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be quite the show, Matthew. I got good feedback. I got a lot of hate feedback, too. It is what it is. It comes with the territory. Folks, looking forward to tomorrow, though. All right, JD, man, be safe going home. That's going to wrap things up here today. Everybody be safe. Make sure, if you haven't voted, make sure you get out and vote today. Quite the day for this nation, and hopefully everybody does their part. All right, that's it. We're out of here.